Hi there, I'm Becky Hammond, and welcome back to Isogo TV, where we are using StrengthsFinder to fuel the marriage connection we crave, the parenting grace we need, and the work energy that flows from a happy home. Today, you are joining me for Isogo TV episode 55. We are in our second of 8 episodes where we are exploring the ins and outs of how to really connect more deeply with your spouse using your strengths. So join us in this episode, or go back and check out the first episode as well, to start to fuel the delight of love more often in your marriage, and perhaps to even have something good to talk about on date night. Also, be sure to grab the 34 Ways to Connect free PDF over at isogostrong.com/34connect. This free PDF resource gives you ideas about your spouse's top 5 strengths and ways that you might be able to connect with him or her on a deeper level. I'm excited that we are in our second episode together of this mini-series, so let's dive in. Today, we are diving right into the one action that can change everything in the midst of an argument or a frustration with your spouse. It's something that is so simple in concept, yet for me, it's been one of the most challenging things to actually do. But what has been really encouraging to us, though, is that it's become easier, or at least I felt more equipped, because I know our strengths and because I want to live from that strengths perspective. So here it is. In the midst of a frustration or even an escalation, the one action that can change everything is to pause. Pause before responding. Pause and get your strengths mind in check. And the results really have been dramatic. So here's a little story from us. It's very recently. The other day, in the midst of finally feeling settled in our new place in Maryland, we just moved from New York City, David and I had lived through a day of basically miscues. We miscommunicated about where to meet, and I ended up walking almost all the way home while he was back waiting with the kids. I told the kids we'd check Target for a slip and slide, and he said that was dangerous to get their hopes up by opening that can of worms. I thought he was responsible for the kids' bath time while I was finalizing dinner, and he thought I was, so he was off doing other things. And just about the time that dinner was still an hour off and an hour behind schedule, I lost it. I told him I felt unsupported and abandoned all day, and as I prepped dinner with my back to him and I told the kids to stay out of the kitchen while we talked, I couldn't hold back the emotion that I felt. So I just let it out until that still small voice broke in and I took a breath. I paused and he paused. He left the room. And in that pause, I thought intentionally through his strengths, specifically his activator and his self-assurance strengths, and how they could have played into that day. And I thought about my own achiever and discipline strengths, and how already annoyed I was to be running behind schedule, because that's not what those strengths like. And in the pause, I forced my mind to think about strength instead of the weakness, instead of the annoyance. And when he returned and we got dinner on the table, I was a different person. I was calmer. I was able to reinvent my attitude for a wonderful capstone evening to a really fabulous family day. And I was able to apologize. And it was all because of that pause. That really, if I'm 100% honest, I didn't really want to take that pause, because in the moment I would have rather continued to lay into him, and I've already done plenty of that, though I kind of feel a little bit foolish for even having to admit that or to say that out loud here, that I would have rather stayed in the argument than to take the pause. So that one action that can change everything in the midst of an argument or frustration is to pause. When you feel it escalating, pause instead. When you have that perfect zinger that you'd like to say, pause instead. When emotions are hot, like they were for me the other day, pause instead. And use the pause not to get your mind wrapped up in how you're right, but to reorient towards strengths. If you're new at this strengths perspective thing, try a couple of these questions in the pause. So one question you could ask might be, what could I be missing that feels frustrating that might actually be coming from strength, not from weakness, but from that other person trying to use that strength? Another question might be, what are his or her strengths, and how could one of those be acting right now? Or how could one of those strengths have been acting during that action that caused the frustration? Another question might be, if I see him or her in the best or strongest light and not through a lens of weakness, how would I interpret his or her actions right now? Would it be different than the way that I'm interpreting those actions? And then finally, another question you might ask is, what is specifically frustrating me? And how could that be tied to us just having different strengths from each other? We talked in the first episode about how we are wired differently and how that's the foundation, understanding what those differences are. So how does understanding those differences between us might be contributing to that frustration or that escalation that we're feeling in the moment? So that's the power of the pause. So I want to ask you to join me, and this is definitely something that I'm still in on, is committing to trying it out during your next frustration or your next misunderstanding. Maybe it'll be this week, maybe it'll be next month, but pause and reorient your mind towards strength. And then let me know how it goes. I'd be honored to hear about it, and I definitely would love to help along the way. In the meantime, before or after that next escalation, you can freshen up on your spouse's strengths by picking up the 34 Ways to Connect with Your Spouse free resource over at isogostrong.com/34connect. In the next episode, in this 8-episode series, we get some practice in reframing offenses. It's something for the Strength in Marriage playbook for sure. So I can't wait to see you there. I'm so glad that you chose to tune in here today with me on Isogo TV. As we wrap up here, be sure that you get your free copy of the 34 Ways to Connect free PDF over at isogostrong.com/34connect. And if you found something from today's episode useful or thought-provoking, I would love to have you share that with me and with the rest of our community. The best way to do that is through our Facebook group, our Energy Up, Frustration Down Facebook group, or by tagging at IsogoStrong on Instagram. Also, just a little ask from me. I would love for you to rate and review your experience here in this show over on iTunes. It tells iTunes what you think about it, and it helps get the word out as well to other people. So hopefully it can start to share the life-changing message of their strengths as well. So hopefully I'll see you out on one of those social media outlets, or I'll look forward to seeing you next week on Isogo TV.